And permission to pivot at any point, but like
Permission to pivot. That's another good one.
I love
So
it. The peas are
they are
we
popping.
Yeah. The peas are popping, baby.
They're popping. The postpartum playbook.
100%. Listen, I
So
mean, I can
good.
see there's the design is there. It's going to be
I
amazing.
think permission to pivot maybe will be our little thing.
It needs
Seriously.
to be. It needs to be. We got principles. We got permission to pivot. We've got all of the Pete.
Welcome to episode 2 of Get Mom Ready. So excited you're here. I'm Holly Tate, and today I cannot wait for you to hear from one of my favorite people in the whole world, Anna Baker. She's going to get real raw and vulnerable about her journey being a medical mom, which was a journey that she didn't choose, like many of us that are listening today. And I'm just so grateful for her vulnerability, her authenticity as she shares all that she's learned as she is a medical mom. So we want to invite you to go to getmomready.com where you can subscribe. It's always free to get our podcasts in your ears, or you can watch it on YouTube or wherever you see your podcasts. But if you become a part of our paid community at getmomready.com, Anna has actually put together a packing list. It's quite extensive. If you ever find yourself in the hospital for any amount of stay, Anna has put together her packing list. So go over there, join our paid community. You'll get access to that and more behind the scenes content at getmomready.com. So without further ado, here's our conversation around Anna's story today. So on today's episode of Get Mom Ready, we're going to have the wonderful Anna Baker. It's going to share her story with us. So last time we heard my story, which I felt like blah, 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 hearing myself talk. And so I think that's probably how all of us will feel in these first few episodes.
Yeah.
But is there anything else we need to talk about before we jump into Anna's story?
I think so.
Anybody get any new sponsors?
Yeah, we're still oh crap. What's Bobby Brown's new company's name again?
Oh, Jones Road.
Jones Road. Yes, Jones Road. We'd still love to have you.
Yeah.
And then the water bottle. Well, Meredith, you can tell. Okay, Meredith, you can tell us about your water bottle.
For Brewmate, BRUMATE, if you'd like to call us, we will gladly accept sponsorship. The first time we hopped on a call for the Ready Network coach training, I had a water bottle on and I was just going on and on and on about it. And Holly had the same one. It's by this company, Brewmate. And the reason I personally love it is because it has the handle, because I love a handle when I'm at home. But also, it is not like other handle water bottles insofar as it has a twist so it will close. You can actually throw it in a backpack or throw it in your car and not worry it's going to spill everywhere, even though it has a straw, because it twists to close.
Guys, put this woman on the Home Shopping Network.
Seriously.
Meredith could make millions.
You need the hour-long infomercial at 3 a.m. when all the breastfeeding
100%.
moms are awake crying.
100%.
We are putting together, and maybe at the time that this publishes, we'll see, but Anna has been working on our favorites list. So this needs to go on there.
100%.
You guys can, all these things we talk about, you can go find it. And if you buy from that list, it will also help us continue to do this show because we get a little kickback with like
nice.
an affiliate link or whatever.
Yes.
But our real sponsors of today's episode is PDPed Footwear, pdped.com, awesome kids shoes. Iris now has like 4 pairs. Full disclosure, they are a client of mine, which is why she has so many pairs. But they're awesome. She loves them. And
she's a model for them, right?
Yeah, my friend
tender.
Catherine and I, we needed to get some new creative for the website. And so we had like her kid and her cousins and Iris, and we did a photo shoot, and it was so fun. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, but use code MOMREADY and you can get 20% off your first order. And they have everything from like boots to water shoes to sandals to tennis shoes. And it was founded by a mom who wanted more thoughtfully made shoes when it comes to development of your feet for her kids.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. PDPed.com. PDPed.com. So thank you for being our sponsor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Love it.
Okay, with that, I'll launch us off. So I mentioned this in our first episode, but Anna means the world to me for many reasons. But a fun fact, and I think you did say this in our first episode, but maybe this was in one of our coaching certifications. But so I met Anna because she interviewed for a job where I was VP of marketing at a company. And it was her and one other person doing final interviews. And I ended up saying no to Anna. I ended up choosing the other person. Yeah.
It's
And
true.
and she asked for feedback and I gave her feedback as to why. And then fast forward, I can't remember,
Wow.
like maybe a year and a half or 2 years or something like that. And the other person who I had hired was leaving to go to a different job. And so I reached back out to Anna. Right? Did I reach back out or did you see it and apply again? I can't remember.
That's a great question. I feel like I applied, but maybe you did reach. I was definitely applying to jobs. So,
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember. But either way, and
yeah.
then she came in and blew me away, hired her that second time. And she had implemented every single piece of feedback that I had given her. And the rest is history. Now we've worked, this is our third. So she works with me at the Ready Network. This is our third time to work together. And I cannot imagine doing any job without her. She's like the other side of my brain. The stuff I suck at, she's great at and sucks the life out of me, gives her life, etc. And vice versa, I think. And so anyway, it's just pure joy. But all that to say, when it comes to being a mom, I remember we were standing in this office right now where I'm sitting when Anna told me that she was pregnant for the first time. And it was right after she had accepted the job at the second company. So she had accepted the job and then was like, by the way, I'm pregnant. But it was I don't know, maybe like a couple months later where she found out that her daughter had congenital heart disease in the womb is when they found that out. And so I've gotten to see Anna just navigate motherhood. I mean, even pregnancy, knowing what she was going to be facing and well, not even really knowing the full scope of it at the time. I'll let her tell all the story, but I just cannot tell you how inspired I am by the way that Anna carries herself with such positivity. Like I tell her all the time, like Iris gets a cold and I'm like about to lose it. And I think of Anna all the time of just like, I can't imagine going through what Anna has gone through with the resilience and the positivity that she has. It's just phenomenal. So I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. And I am also sure I'm going to learn new things today as we hear her perspective through all of this. But I have never been through that. But I just feel like this needs to be talked about more. And so I'm grateful that Anna was willing to come on and be a part of this and share her story from the perspective of somebody who's had to face a lot of really hard stuff starting in pregnancy. And now Emmy is 3, which is wild. Okay, Anna, where do you want to start?
I'll tell you that I also do not handle small sicknesses with any amount of grace. You should have seen me last week with hand, foot, and mouth. I was not doing well. Well, she had hand, foot, and mouth. Fortunately, I still don't know if I got it. I felt kind of icky, but then I feel like it was just like all in my head, because I was like, there's no way I don't have this. We share everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there is no motherhood cure for having a sick child, unfortunately. It's always a struggle. But yeah, I am Anna, and thank you so much for the sweetest introduction. Yeah, Holly and I have been together for 5.5 or so years now. And yeah, honestly, cannot imagine where I would be without you.
Oh, stop. This is not about me. This is about you.
Okay, but part of my story is that as soon as I got out of college, I got a job in communications and marketing. I've always loved writing. And so I just figured that was a good spot for me. But everyone around me always felt so passionate. Like everyone around me was like, I want to climb the ladder. I have all these goals. I want to be a CEO one day. And I was always just like, I don't want that. Does that mean that I don't have any passion? Like, what's wrong with me? And so I felt like, is working not for me? But it has to be because we all have to have a job. And so I was like in this rut. And then a couple years into knowing Holly, well, from the very beginning, she was awesome at just developing and like tapping into the things that shine in people and allowing you to work in those spaces and then coaching you in the areas where you're not as strong, but not making you feel bad about it. Like it was genuine coaching, which I'd never experienced in my whole life. And so a couple years in, we were reading Radical Candor by Kim Scott, and she talks about rock stars versus superstars. And so superstars are the people that I was just talking about that have huge ambitious goals and they want to rise the ladder and they're always looking for the next project or the next challenge. And then there's rock stars who just want to be the best at whatever it is that they're doing. So at the time for me, that was the best marketing manager that I could be. And I was like, that resonates so much with me. And she talked about how each are so important. Like you've got to have people that want to be at the top, but you also have to have the foundation of people who are willing to do the work and enjoy supporting the big vision. And so that was when I like finally got peace in my career that like what I'm doing is just as good as everybody else. And I can make a huge difference by filling in the gaps for people like Holly who have so many ideas and such a big vision, but they don't always love to do all of the work that comes along with it. So that was a huge, I mean, that in and of itself changed my life. And not only career-wise, because I can be like that at home too, where I'm like, you know, a lot of people are into big house projects or XYZ. And I'm just like, I'm a checklist person. I just want to like do a few things here and there, make sure everything's done. And I just feel a lot better about who I am knowing all of that. So yeah, so that was just a huge part of my learning curve in life, really.
And I
then,
also, Anna, can I interrupt? Because I also
please.
remember at that time too, you had, I can't remember how old Emmy was, but she was really young. Like, I mean, you had come back from maternity leave. I feel like she was like, I don't know if she was less than 1, but anyway, it was a season where it was like, I am at my capacity at home as a mom. The job that we were in at the time was a very high pressure, high stress job, always more to do. And so I also remember you saying that like you felt like the rock star language gave you freedom to be like, it's okay for me to feel like I am at 100% here and that I don't feel guilty or bad by wanting to gain more responsibility or like a broader scope of work. I want to crush it in this specialty so that I can also crush it at home and as a mom.
Totally.
So I remember you become like as a new mom feeling like, okay, I can integrate all 3 of these things by being a rock star. Yeah.
Exactly. It's because your work is such a big part of your life and it all fits together. And so how you show up at work, whether it's, you know, by achieving more or saying, okay, I am okay achieving X amount and that's going to be good enough for me so that I can also have space to do X amount over here. Yeah, it was just such a cool, it changed me forever. And so, as Holly said, it was, I don't even remember the year. I guess it was 2021 when I got pregnant with Emmy, my only daughter, and her name is very, very special to us because, as Holly mentioned, we found out at, I don't remember, it was like 25, 27 weeks that she had congenital heart disease. And so we were kind of talking about names at that point, but we hadn't really found anything we loved. And we came across the name Emmy, and it's not short for anything, just Emmy. And we read that it meant like whole or complete. And so we were like, oh, that is a perfect name. Like, we just want her to know that no matter what is different about her, no matter what she has to go through in life, no matter what feels broken, you are perfectly whole and you are complete and you are exactly who you should be. And so even to this day, like I think about that. She's probably at the age where I could potentially, probably not, but anyway.
If she'll sit still long enough to hear you explain it to her.
Exactly. So her name is super special. And it was, in my career when I found out that I was, going to have a more complicated pregnancy and then a more complicated season of newborn life. I was loving my job. I was working like 10 to 12 hours super happily. Like I loved working. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I also now have to fit 2 appointments every single week into this busy schedule because they want to do different stress tests and ultrasounds every single week to check on her progress. And that season of life really taught me how to balance things and how to be okay balancing, to not be a perfectionist in every area. And luckily, I was given so much grace from Holly and work to live that out. And not everybody's that fortunate. But I mean, I had to scale back some because I was demanded elsewhere. And so when Emmy was born,
well, hold on, Anna, can I interrupt again? Sorry. And
please.
Hannah, Mayor, feel free to interrupt as well.
Yeah.
But like, let's go back to like because you're, skipping along from 0 to 20 some odd weeks. You think you're like imagining the nursery and your life and you and Phillip's, what it's going to be like and holding Emmy in your arms. And so like, what was the moment? Was it at a regular appointment when like you guys found this out, or did you get a phone call later? Like, I want to hear more about like that time where you learned that life was going to be different.
Yeah. So we actually decided to switch from one hospital over to Texas Children's just because my husband had a friend that was going there and he's like, why not? They're down the street. They're the best of the best. Let's just do it.
And I remember that because you were annoyed.
I did not want to because
you were like,
it was this massive process. And even within Texas Children's, there's like 4 or 5 different OBs that you can choose from, like branches of OBs. And then there's like 20 OBs within and I'm like, I have to fill out all this paperwork. I have to call, and I'm already working 10-hour days. Like I do not have capacity to switch doctors right now, but we did it. And thank God we did, because I don't know that the other hospital would have caught it because they're not specialized necessarily in that type of thing. And so it was like one of our very first, maybe our first appointment at Texas Children's. And I don't even think it was the anatomy scan. It was after the anatomy scan and they were just doing an ultrasound and they, popped out and they were like, we'll be back. But they do that all the time. We didn't think anything of it. And I think it was that very same day, they came back in and told us, okay, it looks like your child might have, I don't know. I think they did know exactly what it was. So if you're a heart mom or you're interested in biology, she has DORV and mitral stenosis and I think something else, but my husband fortunately stores all of the detailed information in his science brain so that I don't have to do that. And I think it was that day they had a cardiologist come and meet with us. They just held us a little bit longer and said, we'd really like for you to have this appointment with her today. She's going to walk you through. She's going to draw a diagram of the heart, show you exactly where we're suspecting that there are issues. And she's going to talk to you a little bit about what delivery looks like and what potential surgeries in the future are going to look like to correct this. And so it was such a whirlwind because, it was all happening just in the moment. And I remember driving into that appointment actually feeling like something was wrong.
Really?
And it's that crazy mom's intuition. But I remember we got out of the car and I looked at Phillip and I was like, no matter what happens, I feel like I'm okay. Like, I don't even know why I said it. It just was like, I knew to say that. Wow. And I was almost like prepared for something. And he was like, as we were waiting for the cardiologist, he's like, I'm so glad you said that because I am not okay. Like, I don't know, because he knows so much about the human body and he could actually understand what this meant. Whereas to me, it was just like, okay, something's wrong and we can fix it, right?
Well, and Anna, for context, say a little bit about Phillip, because like it is super unique. And another thing, like, as this is not a faith-based podcast, but as people of faith on this podcast, this is just so wild to me that tell him about like what he was studying at the time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So he was finishing up his PhD at Rice here in Houston. And that was another cool thing is we lived 10 minutes from Rice, meaning we lived 10 minutes from Texas Children's, which was the biggest blessing of all time, given how often we were there. And so he was actually studying the enteric nervous system. I still couldn't tell you exactly what that is, but like every detail of how the inside of your gut works, and therefore just had so much context into, he essentially studies biology, like stem cell research to create organs that are made out of your own cells is what he's really passionate about. And so just the idea, it, gives him so much passion at work to be able to think I could help somebody, potentially my own family, but if not, people like my daughter who eventually are going to need their, with organs, transplants, it doesn't always work with your own body. And so using your own tissue and your own cells is obviously the best way to go if science can get there. So super awesome that he knows so much about this and is really deeply passionate about it.
Yeah. Sorry, I derailed us a little bit, but that's so, yeah. Okay.
No,
So
you're
you're
good.
sitting there and he's like, I'm so glad you said you're okay because I'm not, even though he was like, he was the science guy, which is probably part of it. He knew a lot of the things that could go wrong or the seriousness of it and all that. So, okay. So you're sitting there waiting for the cardiologist.
Yeah, and we meet with her, and again, thank goodness he understood everything she was drawing and like could ask questions. And I was just like, that's when I became so overwhelmed because I was like, I don't even know how many chambers our heart has. I don't know what ventricles are. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what you're saying. Why is this wrong? What's the problem? Um, and so I kind of just knew, okay, just hold your breath and ask him questions later and let him get all the information and we'll move on from here. Because my questions, and still are, I think, as a mom, just like, what does this mean? Like, can I hold her? Can she do sports? Can she have children? Like, those are the things going through my head.
Yeah.
Is all of her life implications, but not necessarily what's happening in the body.
Yeah.
And so of course I'm jumping in with those kind of questions and she's kind of like, well, we're not there yet. Let's just discuss we'll discuss what's happening today. But yeah, so we left that appointment and after that it was at least 2 appointments every single week until she was born. And it at the time she's my only child. And at the time, we didn't have any other children, which was such a blessing because I could really process it. Like I had time,
Sure.
just as like an adult I was journaling a lot at the time. I had a really close community at church and our church at the time did a monthly prayer meeting where the whole church could come and you could just stand up and say prayer requests and the whole church would pray for you. And so we were able to go to our meeting like shortly after and share with a huge body of people. And we were met with dozens of doctors and medical students that are studying pediatrics. And they were all like, if you ever need anything, and, we love Texas Children's. And if you ever need somebody to bring you coffee when you're in the hospital and just everything under the sun, so much support. And I think that is just the number one thing I can recommend to any mom, period, but especially in a season of medical uncertainty. The community has been the silver lining throughout our entire journey with her. And then we actually had our baby shower, like it was like the week after we found out, which was also
Wow.
I remember that.
was great. And so we were actually kind of like sharing the news with a lot of people for the first time because we shared it with our close family, but it's kind of one of those things. I didn't even know how to tell my family. I was like, I think I texted them and I was just like, I don't know how to say this, but a baby's going to be born with some heart defects. And it was just so out of body. And so we got to share that moment with our, everyone at our baby shower and they all prayed for us. And so there were a lot of really special moments that just made us feel really held and seen and connected, which was really special. And I think we just kind of held on to that throughout the rest of the pregnancy. And there was a lot of fear for sure of what does it look like when nobody knew if she was going to need an intervention right away or if it would be weeks, months, nobody knew. And so it was just kind of like, I don't know what to expect.
Which is very uncomfortable for you, Anna. Because like Anna is the person, you guys, who like, she is a planner. Like literally Anna has countdowns for everything. She is like plans all the things. So like you're talking about it so calmly, but like, and you do like, you handled it so calmly. But I just can only imagine how uncomfortable that was to not know I'm going to give birth to my child and will not know what the next seconds, minutes, days, weeks will look like.
And it's crazy because I really thought going through something like that would help me become less structured because you have to be. But in a way, I think it also makes me hold on tighter to the things that I can control because there's so much out of control. And kids in general are completely out of our control. I mean, we can try our best to follow all the steps and plans for sleep or feed or whatever. And they just don't.
They are not robots.
Exactly. At the worst time is when they're going to behave the worst. And it's hard. And so I am grateful for a lot that I've learned, but certainly you would never wish it again. And so when she was born, not to go into birth story here, but what I remember about it is that there were probably like 20 doctors in the room at the time she was born. And so even that, just like uncomfortable, like, yes, when you're giving birth, you care a lot less about so many things because you're like, pain, let's get this done, all the things. But I remember, like, I looked at each and every one of their faces because I was like, this is not normal. Like, it's just not like, it was just crazy. And they were
Did
all
you
just kind of,
know that there were going to be, did they tell you like, hey, there's going to be a whole lot of people in here? Or was
they
it just like,
told us that we should be prepared for anything, like that somebody was going to be monitoring. There'd be like different doctors checking on different things. I didn't realize the extent, and I didn't really ask, you know, you don't even know what to ask. You're just
Yeah.
Of
like,
course. Of
I'm just
course.
showing up and hoping
Yeah.
you're going to tell me what to do. And so I was not prepared for the full extent, definitely. And a lot of them, they just seem so young. Like, I think a lot of them were medical students,
Yeah.
and probably there for, like, I think it's some kind of teaching hospital. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, all these poor men that are just standing here watching
Yeah,
this right
look
now.
at
You're like, I'm an
Full
episode of Grey's
Monty.
Anatomy right now.
Literally.
I am the
literally.
episode. Okay. Got it.
Just- so anyways, she was born, and luckily I did get to hold her for a few seconds, which I was not even anticipating. And that was amazing. And then they took her right away to the cardiac ICU, which we knew was going to happen. And we
Sure.
lived there for the first 2 weeks. And we stayed in the hospital with her. So it's a very uncomfortable place to be postpartum on a super hard hospital couch. But luckily there, they do have a little pull-out couch where you can sleep in the room with them, which was amazing because I can't imagine just only having visiting hours. Like a lot of
No.
NICU moms have to
No.
do that, and it's just
No.
heartbreaking. And so we got to stay with her, but you know, things like we couldn't just pick her up and take her out of bed because she had so many cords and wires, and even holding a newborn for the first time when it's yours is intimidating. And then
Yes.
when they're connected to all these machines beeping all the time, you're just like, I am terrified. So the nurses would always have to come and help us. And yeah, and so I also semi gave up on breastfeeding and just exclusively pumped as well because it was just so challenging
Bless
trying
you.
to make it all work out. And there were lactation consultants there, which was the nice part. Was like we were there for 2 weeks with a handful of nurses and doctors that wanted to hold a brand new newborn baby, and they wanted to
Sure.
help me, and they wanted to give us all this information. And so like that was honestly very cool. And I got to use the hospital grade pumps while we were there. Like that was
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah.
But there were definitely a lot of moments that I was like, man, it would be cool to, know what it's like to go home and then go sleep in your bed with your baby, or like hold your baby, or whatever. So definitely a lot of bittersweet through that. But I think we were just so grateful that in those 2 weeks she did not have to have any interventions. They let us go on. It was February 22nd, 2022 at 2:22 p.m. is when we got into our car.
Oh my
That
gosh.
number is like our number now.
Hey, my
And-
birthday is on December 22nd, so I'm a big fan of the 22. So
And that
22.
must be, see, that's why
And it's
we're
a Taylor
so well
Swift song, right?
connected.
I'm not even a Swiftie, but isn't that a Taylor Swift
It
song?
is a Taylor Swift song.
Feeling 22.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
So she ended up she went back in at 6 weeks for a surgery, 3 months for a surgery, a year. And then
when we say surgery, it's open heart surgery. So like, right?
the first two were not open heart. They it was open chest, but not open heart. So they did always open her chest, and like they would like place a band, or it was like smaller interventions in the first couple of times. And then her fourth surgery that we went into right when it was right after she turned 2 in 2024. We went in and they were going to do a big surgery to essentially, I have learned that we have 2 ventricles, and they were going to take one of them away and essentially make her heart pump from one ventricle. And that was going to be hugely life-altering for her. It just changes how your body works, and you can't handle as much. And we were really, really bummed that was the path that we were going down. We got a second opinion, but it was too risky. And so we just went with it since that's what the choice was. And she ended up on the 3rd day after her surgery. The surgery was failing, and her body was failing. And it was February 22nd, again, 2:22 on this day. And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we just started hearing all these doctors talking in the room. We were sleeping, behind this little curtain. And, eventually one of us got up and was like, what's going on? They were like, we need you to just stay behind the curtain for a little while. Her stats are plummeting and we don't know like what's going on yet. We need to figure it out. So if you could just, give us some space, we'll keep you posted as soon as possible. And so we're just kind of panicking and more doctors are coming in. The like coding alarms are going off in the hospital. And so the whole floor is rushing over. And it's one of those things that like we've seen it numbers of times living at the hospital, but you just like never can fathom that it'll be your room where they're all running to. And it was just impossible to process. And eventually, it was like an hour later, they told us, okay, we're going to have to reoperate. Like she's not like responding to anything that we're doing. So y'all need to pack your bags and we're going to put you, you're going back to whatever. We need to put you in a different room. We're taking her to the operating room. We'll call you when it's over. And we walked out. We're just like freaking out and can we touch her? Can we say goodbye? Like, can she even hear us? What's going on? And I think they let us give her like a kiss on the head. And then we're like, okay, you really have to go. Like, we need to focus. So we're just standing outside of her room and watching as they're piling cart after cart after cart with all these medications to like resuscitate, to like last case scenario medications, just all the way down the hall. And we just, we watched them wheel her out and then we went and decided to go on a walk. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but that was the day that AT&T and Verizon had
Oh my gosh.
nationwide cell phone outages.
Yeah.
And so we had texted a few family members just letting them know, but we like people kept trying to call us and it was just dropping, or like we couldn't get text through and we had no idea what was going on. And so it was frustrating and it was like, okay, this is y'all's space. Like, we got to take this as a sign. Like, you got to go process this. And like, you don't have the distraction of 1,000 phone calls and people checking in. And so go process it. And then when the phones come back on, then you'll do all your communicating. But I just remember we like walked over to Rice University and just sat there and tried to, I don't know, we like tried to make each other feel better and laugh. And I think that's like what a lot of people do in crisis. And yeah, we were just kind of contemplating best case and worst case scenario. And it was the start of a very long and awful hospital stay where we ended up being there for 6 weeks. She was on life support and completely paralyzed for 2 of those weeks. She was on like the highest dose of every single sedative to where they weren't working anymore and her tolerance was too high. And they ended up having to use a drug that washes all of that out of your system for 24 hours so that you can restart administering those so that she would actually respond to them, because she would be paralyzed and her chest is still open because this is when it's hard to know how much detail to go into, but essentially she ended up having like a little illness or bacteria infection in her lung that made it collapse. And on top of that, her intubation tube was laying on her lung, because we didn't know this, but it branches out a little bit earlier than most people's. And so it was just literally collapsing the infection in her lung. And so she had a really hard time fighting out of that. And so they had to leave her open. So she had to be paralyzed so that she couldn't move, but even the paralytic was wearing off. And so very long journey. We eventually got out after 6 weeks, right after Easter. And that experience
Well, and so Anna, they reversed the surgery. So I think that's what's
Right.
like, you guys went in thinking her life is going to be changed. She will only have one ventricle. You get through that, or you think you're getting through it. She's recovering, supposed to be recovering. And then they're like, actually, we're going to go back and reverse everything we just did. And we don't know what we're going to do after that. Am I
Correct.
right in that?
Yes. Yeah. No
Yeah.
idea what the next step is. All we know is we have to get her back to survival, and then we'll deal with what's next after that. Yes, exactly. And
So that 6 weeks, like, wasn't even like making progress towards her future. It was just getting her back to where she was before the surgery. That's what's like,
Right.
oh my gosh.
So while we were there, they operated 4 times total. And so they did end up doing a repair to help her get out of the hospital stable, and then, deal with the next steps later. But it was just most important for her to be stable and get out of the hospital, as quickly as
Yeah.
possible. So we've been able to get up till now, so a year and a half with no surgeries, but we are currently planning for her next one in the fall. And it should be the last one for 5 to 10 years, which is very, very good news. But I know after our last one, it is just so much harder processing that she has to go through this. And it's the first one where she is very aware. She's 3.5. She knows what's going on. She knows about doctors. She knows about her scar. And so navigating how we talk about that too has been a new part of the puzzle that actually is one part where I feel very confident and blessed to be her mom in this time, because I think that's really the coolest part of motherhood, is getting to shape what your kids believe about the world and themselves and playing a part in that. And so I am very eager to just share with her how strong she is, how much she's been through, and how none of this shapes like who she is as a person, other than making her so brave and strong. And so
Man.
that is the part where I'm like, okay, this is parenting. I think those early years, and we're still in the early years, but I think the early days, it was so hard to even consider anything about normal parenting, of like schedules and feeding. I mean, it was all so complicated because of what she needed, that I was just like getting by. And now it feels like I can actually be a mom through all of the chaos, if that makes sense, instead of just like floating through it all and just responding to the next need that she has. And newborns just require so much. Yeah. And so, anyways, that's where we are today. And right now, it might sound strange, but right now, the voice in my head that I hear, that I've been hearing for the past couple months, has been telling me about everything, not about surgeries, but that the voice says, like, Anna, it is not that serious. And I have been trying really hard to take that to heart about day-to-day life, not about her condition, but like, oh, she's up an hour past bedtime. Anna, it is not that serious. Or, oh, she's sick again with some stupid, hand, foot, and mouth. It's not that serious. Or she only ate 2 beans for dinner. Like, what am I? It's not that serious. Like, calm down and just go with it. And so that is who I'm aspiring to be right now, is go with the flow and take things lightheartedly and just remember at the end of the day that it is not that serious. So that is very against my nature, because I'm a checklist person and I want it all to be done and I want it all to be done right. But at the end of the day, I really think, like, how much is that serious? So yeah,
Told
here we
you
are.
guys. She's a superhero, isn't she?
Yeah. I feel very speechless and unhelpfully teary. I'm like, Meredith, get it together. This is not helpful to anybody, but I feel
No,
like I
you
gotta,
probably
like,
can't see
take
it.
a
And like,
break.
I don't know if you guys know this about me. I mean, Anna does. Like, I'm not a crier until like usually once a quarter, and then I like hysterically cry.
Then you
and
got to
then-
get it out. Yeah.
And then it's like messy, like
Yeah.
snot, all
Spring
the things.
cleaning.
Yeah, that's exact. Spring cleaning for my sinuses.
That's the best.
in my
Spring
feelings.
cleaning.
In my
Yeah.
soul. But anyway, no, I'm even like, I don't know if you can see it, but like I was even tearing up, even though I've like heard this. Well, and there were pieces in there that I
watched
hadn't
it.
heard. I hadn't heard all of that detail about the reversal that led like anyways. Yeah. So I'm teary-eyed too, Meredith. I feel you.
Can I ask practical questions first before I ask like other questions, just to kind of, I don't know, even probably as listeners are hearing, what does this next surgery, is it all like, I don't know how to say it I'm just going to bumble through.
That's
To
fine.
what end? Is it like, okay, we've got one ventricle and it's like, this is like a maintenance surgery, or it's like, I don't know. What's the
Yeah.
path here?
Yeah. So now, because they reversed that original surgery, she does have 2 ventricles,
Okay,
which
okay.
is good in my
Yeah,
opinion. I
yeah.
wanted that to be the case because it's possible for her. If it wasn't possible for her, then of course do whatever you can.
Sure, sure.
And so what they're going to do now is they were waiting for her to be big enough to accept this surgery. And she's now big enough. And
okay.
so they're replacing a ventricle with a mechanical valve, or sorry, they're putting in a mechanical valve.
Got it.
And so from now on, it'll be maintenance of that mechanical valve, which again
see.
should just be as the machinery wears out, as she grows too big for it. Like maintenance, as you said, is, knock on wood, supposed to be the path forward from now on. So all of that is extremely comforting, other than the fact that last time was also supposed to be like a routine surgery that didn't go well, but more or less, like, we are feeling a lot. We like this path out of all of the paths. So
Okay, that's helpful to kind of just understand the scope of what. And when you say like, I at the risk of, I don't know, it's probably just a human condition. Be like, is everything going to be okay? I mean, of course, my mama heart's
know.
wondering. I'm like, what? But like,
I
when
know.
you say this is maintenance, you're like, this then means she can play soccer one day if she wants, or run laps, or like, is that what we're talking about? Or is it like, well, there's going to still be like, how does all that play out?
There's still a lot of uncertainty, honestly.
Sure.
And so currently is in soccer and basketball. I mean, she's 3, but she's done soccer,
Sure.
basketball, dance. She runs around. Her oxygen is around 80-85% already. And so that's what, like, her body limits her.
Sure.
It's not necessarily that she can't do certain things, but like, she's probably not going to be an Olympic athlete. Although my husband always brings up Shaun White. I don't know if y'all know him. He's an Olympic snowboarder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was a heart patient. So
Wow, there you
and
go.
he might actually even be single ventricle. I'm not sure. But so,
That's
anything's
cool.
possible. And
Sure.
that's, what we lean on. But
Sure.
it's really, we don't know. And like, just like with babies, like, everybody's so different, and
Yes.
and so it is hard to know. But yeah, I think relatively normal. I think she'll be able to live relatively normal.
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
and the other thing too, Meredith, that Anna has helped me learn that's really cool is like just how quickly technology is advancing.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows what will be available in Emmy's lifetime?
Lord
that,
have
like,
mercy.
even if she was born literally 1 or 2 years earlier, like, who
Right.
knows? And the fact that, like, now she's big enough, like, as horrible as
Totally.
that surgery and situation was, the fact that it was reversed to where she was double ventricle and then was able to live until now, a year and a half
Yep.
later,
Yep.
so that now she's big enough to be able to do this surgery with 2 ventricles.
Yeah.
Like, just like those little things like that, Anna reminded me of that like a while ago. It was like, well, we don't know like what technology will look like even
Yeah.
a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years from now,
Exactly.
that Emmy might be the recipient of.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been the case
Yeah.
even if she was just born like a year earlier. It's
Yeah.
wild to think about that.
Yeah, I used to try to research a lot more, and then I just kind of gave up because, 1, how helpful
Yeah.
is the internet?
Right.
And 2,
And you can't
2,
control
it's just-
that.
Exactly. Yeah, they usually put like best case, worst case scenarios out there, and that's not helpful for anybody.
No.
And then,
No.
and then it was just always like, things change so fast. Like, I can't even
Yeah.
keep up. I'm just going to try my best to take it day by day, type of thing.
That I do have a question about. I mean, I'm just so mindful of the capital T trauma that
Yep.
you went through, you and Phillip in the hospital watching all this. It's incomprehensible. I can't. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And you're going to go back into that similar situation. So do you have like thoughts on like a care plan for yourself? I mean, I don't even mean to sound like teachery or reduction. Now, what's your plan? But I truly am like, wow, we're going back in the lion's den. And it's, of course we know, like it's supposed to happen. This isn't okay. All good things. And you've been here before. So it's like, okay. And I don't even know if it's fair to ask, how do you plan for something? But I'm just like, oh boy.
That is the number one thing on my mind every single day, because we weren't expecting, obviously, to be there that long. Her previous
Totally.
ones, we were there like a week to 2 weeks
Yeah.
max. And she always recovered well and all of that. So last time was really the first time that I needed to figure out how to take care of myself because it was so long and so traumatic. Like it was not just like, oh, she's recovering, but any day now. It was like every single day was fighting and like pleading with the doctors to do certain things and not do certain things and afraid to leave the room because, you know, I mean, when the doctors come, you want to be there because it could be your only chance that whole day to get your answers, to like ask your questions,
answered,
get your all of it. And if you miss that window, you wait a whole nother 24 hours. Or if it's a weekend, you wait the entire weekend for anybody to show up again. And so it was like, okay, well, but like I can't just sit, you know, so that is the question. And what I started to, luckily we have all of our family is in Houston. And so last time we had one, you know, our families would come most days and try to either relieve us or keep us company. And I usually chose to stay and just enjoy the company. Partly out of fear of leaving and partly because it was the only time I was going to interact with like a person that day. And then also I started going on a lot of walks. So like I would try to make myself, when my mom or dad were there, to like get out and go get fresh air. And that helped a lot too. The other thing that continues to be surprisingly hard and wonderful is the big community aspect. So like 1,000 text messages a day, checking in or wanting an update. And when you are broken to the core and you're just like not getting sleep and you're like you're really sad, like you don't want
capacity
on every front. It was just like it's impossible to answer it all. But I'm also like, responsiveness is a love language to me. Like I do not leave people on red ever.
Interesting.
And so that was a huge struggle for me. Luckily, my sister took over as the communicator and she started I can't even remember, Caring Bridge. And she would post updates. And so anytime anything big happened, or I could just text her and be like, I'm getting a lot of texts today and I can't handle this. Like, can you just post something so that I can send people the link? And it's that double-edged sword because it's like to feel that love, like we would never feel that love from our community if we wouldn't have gone through something like this. And it is so insanely exhausting. And so it's like, oh my gosh, how do I, you know? So yeah, those are a few of the little things. And yeah, it's just kind of, I think, knowing that hopefully this is maybe the last time we're doing this in a few years helps me to feel like I just want to power through. Like, yes, of course I want to take care of myself, but like, I'm just ready. Like, I'm ready to just like, I've done it before, I can do it again. And like boots to the ground. Let's go, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. You get kind of like shoulders back, armor on, let's go. We're going to,
all that.
I mean, and I get that too. It's like, the flight attendant status of like, we're going to be fine. There's a little turbulence. We're going to be fine. I'm going to keep pouring the Sprite. We're good. You know what I mean? I mean, and as a mom, that's it. That's the MO. Like, it's just like,
that's right.
The show must go on. This is showbiz. And it's not, I don't say any of that to normalize what you're walking through, but I'm saying it to, I feel like I can sense and appreciate your sentiment as a mom. That's like, okay. And I don't know.
Buckle up.
Yeah. Buckle up. And there's probably something too of like, I mean, I don't know. I know when I've been in the middle of really scary, traumatic situations, I'm like, I can't buckle. I can't for whatever reason. I don't know if that needs to be pathologized, but you know, it's just like, and so, and then you, as a mom are in that situation, you're like, well, that's got to be turned up all the way. And we're not folding. We got to like get it together.
That's right.
You know, power through.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Anna, you said in our first episode, you said going through that has really changed or impacted the way that you parent. So what did you mean when you said that in our first episode?
Yeah. So a part of it probably is a little bit of my personality in general. I am a yes person. Like I hate telling people no and I hate disappointing people. But also getting to go home, particularly after this last surgery, but really after any surgery, living in the hospital, like her getting woken up at every 4 hours to get vitals and get a
Oh,
bath at 3 in the morning because
brutal.
that's when she's on the schedule, and like so much chaos that you're like, I just want to go home. That when we were home, because really for the first 2 years, it was like every couple months we were living there. And so being home, it was like, I just have more of a gratitude for the normalcy of the day to day. And I think I also, like, after nearly losing her, I'm kind of like, who cares if you want to have ice
100%.
cream for breakfast? Good for you. You should celebrate
Mhm.
life. Like,
Yes.
that is what I'm talking about. Like,
Yes.
why would I not let you have ice cream for breakfast? That's amazing.
Yes.
Now, of course, she still has to be parented. She still has to be
Yeah.
disciplined. And there's a line, and I'm learning that as she's getting older, of there has to be a line. We cannot get away
Yeah.
with everything, and you cannot be spoiled because you've gone through this. Like,
Sure.
if you're going to be a good, part of society, there are still, you've got to act like everyone else. And so that is really, really hard for me. Like, okay, where are the things that I can say yes to because life should be magical every single day? Like, don't take it for granted. And where do I not let her become a spoiled brat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
so, and I struggle so much. And I just lean on other people. I'm like, look, here's what I'm doing today. I feel kind of guilty about it. Like, is this good? Like, do you do this? Or is this me being a psycho pushover, like not wanting to say no and deal with the consequences? Like,
Yeah.
am I using the fact that life is magical as a shield to not have to say no
Interesting.
to her? And I don't know. I don't always know. Like, I can
Sure.
trick myself, like, is it that I want you to experience a fun day, or is it that I don't want to hear you scream and cry because I told you no? And I don't know the answer. Both.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
or like
The
going to the
fact-
park every single day. I'm like, I don't want to go to the park again. But then I'm like, but why not? Like, she deserves.
Yeah.
Like, she's gonna be in the hospital again. She won't get to go to the park. Like.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that you're even asking those questions, though, means that you're doing a great job. Like,
Yes.
Thank
it
you.
just means that you're being intentional and trying to find the balance of that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also
so true.
interesting to think about. I don't have this thought flushed out, but it occurred to me like the. Ugh, I always struggle to say things because I'm like, do you sound stupid, insensitive, something like some kind of bad thing? But
You don't.
I
and-
know, Meredith, you are definitely, I can definitely tell you've got your filter on today.
Always,
Take it off.
always. Well,
Take
it's
it
such a
off.
sensitive,
off.
it's such a sensitive thing, and you never want to be the asshole that puts her foot in her mouth, and you're like,
You
did she
won't.
really just ask that on air? But I'm like
You won't.
mindful of how often we can, especially if we've been through any type of trauma, grief, live out of, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term, scarcity mindset.
Yes.
And do that. Okay, well, it could be the last time, or it could be, no, I can't take this for granted, or I can't. And then we, kind of overfunction out of that and live from this
Yep.
like little hyperactive internal place versus like, yes, shit could hit the fan again, and that would be really freaking awful, and we would deal with it. And for today, we do in fact have to take a nap, or we do in
That's
fact need
right.
to eat broccoli or whatever.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
it's like it is totally balancing both. And I sometimes have to remember parenting or relationships or life in general, like you do not, I find it hard to not sometimes live out of scarcity, which creates this internal fear, hustle, like strivey, anxiety. It just produces some
Mhm.
anxiety. So I could only imagine how true that would be if I had walked any amount in your shoes, parenting. So like mad props to you, because I'd be putting sprinkles on freaking mashed potatoes, broccoli. It's a party all the time. Stay up to whatever you need, baby. You
Exactly.
like to bed with me all the time. I just put you in bed. It's fine. I mean, I would forget about it. I'd have to just hire like a German nanny to come in and lay down the law. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly it. That is exactly it. And that is one thing too that I am a big believer in is this is like kind of a hot take. I love when most other people parent her. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
I love seeing other, particularly moms or dad, like people who have been
Sure.
parents in particular, come in and tell her when they think something is out of line or something, because I think it's important for her to see how other people handle things and what the world is like and yada yada. And I know there's a lot of people out there who do not like when other people parent their kids. And I get it. There
Yeah.
are times and people where it does get to me and I'm like, oh, how dare you, but yeah, I think there's something so cool in getting to see how different people view life and how
Yeah.
different people have different expectations. And I think that's
Yep.
great. And she gets that exposure. So
100%. Yeah.
Okay, I also want to go. I know this is gonna be a long episode, but I feel like I could talk to you for hours, Anna. And maybe this one is like for a different episode, but I don't want you to feel like share whatever you want on this topic, but like marriage, the impact of your marriage going through this
Yeah.
and preparing for what you're about to go into in October.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like just me and Elliot's marriage looks very different than it did 16 months ago. And there are better parts of that and there are worse parts of that, right? Like we're
Totally.
absolutely
learning each other in a new way and learning what it means to be a team in a new way and learning different triggers in a new way and all of that. And so then I
Yeah.
cannot imagine the trauma that you guys have been through and how that would even impact it. So anyway, for the moms that are out there listening, of any advice you would give or things that you've learned or lessons that you're in the thick of when it comes to marriage, or even yourself as a wife, maybe is maybe a better way to ask it through your journey in motherhood.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a toll, just becoming parents in general, for
Mhm.
sure. And we tried doing counseling before surgeries to kind of prepare ourselves and kind of figure out what each other needed. And I think it's just honestly one of those things, at least for us in the moment, you just don't know how you're going to react. You don't know what you're going to need. Like you can say all these things. It kind of like becoming a mom. Like you can have your birth
Yeah.
plan, you can have your, all these ideals of what you want. But when it really comes down to it, you just don't know until you're in the moment. And I think honestly, that has been a huge lesson for me as a planner is to like take it day by day and really just assess in the moment, like what does each person need? And then for me, the challenge is communicating that and being okay taking it when it's offered. Like if I need a break or if I'm asking for help doing a certain task or like, especially in the hospital, hey, can I go for a walk for 20 minutes? Like, are you good with that? Can you handle that? And vice versa. It can be really, really hard for me. And so I just think, and this is like marriage advice 101, but like communicating honestly is
Yeah.
seriously like will just move mountains because if you can both truly see each other's like heart behind a desire or a feeling, like a frustration of anything, then you can respect it a lot more than when you're not talking at all. And I think, I think the biggest thing you could do probably is that what you could do beforehand is I know y'all probably know that there's like assessments out there that can tell you, well, there's all kinds of assessments, personality assessments and whatnot. But if there's one maybe that can tell you your stress triggers and like what you do in stress, like do you isolate? Do you run for community? Do you, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
And because what we've learned is that we do have opposite coping mechanisms. And so I do want to open up and talk about it and go through it together. And he like prefers to like kind of do it alone and just process mentally versus externally. And that can, that pushes and pulls and that can be really tough. And I think it's another one of those things where if you can't get it right in the trauma, just make sure you come back together after. If you can't get it right in the
That's so
trauma,
good.
it's okay. Like it is not make or break to get it right every single season of life or every single day. And some seasons are just going to suck. And that's okay. And I think like letting certain seasons suck in different areas, whether it's work or your marriage or parenting, it's just life. And so I think I am learning that, if one of us is really struggling when it comes to any part of her diagnosis and treatment, letting it be, like just let it go, let it suck, and then like save the energy for reuniting after that person is going through their hard thing, instead of like
so
trying to
good.
fix it.
That's so good, Anna. That's my hardest thing in any relationship, but especially marriage. I'm like, I want to tackle it. I want to beat it to the ground. Let's
Yeah.
wrestle it through. And And Elliot is like, I need some time. You know, and so to just let it be and not try to fix it in the moment. Ugh, it's so
And
good.
it's so much. I mean, I definitely don't do that all the time, but when I do is when things go so much better.
Yeah. Yep. That's so
It
true.
reminds me a little bit of when Brene Brown, I think she was on Tim Ferriss's podcast talking about, she says it eloquently, but essentially this idea of like, Steve, her husband, Steve, I'm at 80%. Where are you at? Or I'm at 40%.
Yes.
Can you pick up the
So
remaining 60? Oh,
good.
you're at 20%. Okay, so we're both in the weeds. And Anna, the question becomes, in your case, like, what do we do when we're both at -0,
Exactly.
-10% or whatever, right? Like, what if we do when we're
Exactly.
both in the weeds? And so it's like, okay, I don't know. I'm just thinking like in my own hospital experience, not with a baby, but separately, knowing like, okay, I know a walk for me, even for 10 minutes just to get out, will add at least 5% back to the tank. Can you hang on for just a few more minutes? Give me these 10 and I got 5% more. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's such an interesting way to
so
contextualize
good.
it.
That
That
is
is-
so good.
I'm using that. That's magic. I'm holding on to that.
I'll have to find where she talks about it and send the link because it was like, come again, and it's like, anyway.
It's always so simple. The most
Yes.
profound things are always like,
I
duh,
know.
why didn't I
know.
think it's so
I know.
annoying?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so Anna, to wrap us up today, and I will say for those that are listening, if you have not heard Hannah's voice a lot today because she's being super mom, and if you're watching this, you can see. But
We love you, Hannah.
Yes, little baby Nora. It's nap time for her, so she's putting Nora down. But that's the thing. That's what Get Mom Ready is all about. Is like Meredith was trying to feed Ethan before this, and he wasn't having it, and I'm like throwing dry shampoo in my hair because who knows the last time I washed it, and Hannah's putting Nora down. So like that's what this is all about. Is just like raw, unfiltered.
And there she is.
Mom, like, how you doing,
Hannah?
Hannah?
The long blink. Hannah?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Boy, do we all get it. I think I can speak for all. We all get it. Like we can actually use a we here instead of an I statement. Yep.
I feel it so much. It's like twisting in my heart.
She just doesn't want to sleep, huh? No.
Yeah.
Because you're too awesome. She's just looking at you like,
wide awake.
I want to
be
hang
a part
out.
of it. I know. It's so hard. Y'all remember that was Ethan last time. I was like, I guess we're going to have him screaming the whole time. Cool.
No. Well,
That is the grief of motherhood.
Yes, that is so true. And also sometimes there's been some
Right.
moments where I'm like grateful to miss out. Like 4th of July,
Yeah.
when Iris was sick. I hated that she was sick, but I was also like, this is awesome that I just put her to bed and now get to pour a glass of wine and eat by myself.
Right.
Yes.
Because Elliot's hanging out with our friends and I don't have to talk to anybody.
That's
There are
awesome.
some silver linings.
There are
but
some. And then other times you're like, okay, I guess I'll just be over here with a crying baby or one that is not
completely by
cool.
myself. You all have a blast.
100%.
Mhm.
You're like the
Yeah.
loneliness. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Lord. It's
so bad.
It's a unique thing.
Well, I thought we could wrap today with a couple of things that I heard from Anna, and you tell me, Mare and Hannah, if you want to add anything. But of moms that are either facing this or going through this, is number one, to the community was a pattern that I heard over and over again, and of y'all's vulnerability of welcoming community into that. I think sometimes people want to retreat and not be vulnerable in that. And so the fact that you guys were open about that and invited people along on that journey, if they could care for you, was great. What you taught us about your perspective of, it's not that serious, Anna, and like just trying to embrace the tension of living, like every day is magical was another phrase that I heard from you over and over again, of like embracing that tension that every day is magical, but also parenting and just living in that tension day by day. And then the last one was just with you and Phillip, of just that it's okay if it's hard, and to use the energy to reunify afterward instead of fighting to fix it in the moment, because that might not be the best use of your energy. So those were like four things that I learned from you and your story today.
Nailed it.
Perfect
Yeah.
wrap up.
Awesome. All right. Well, reminder, thank you to our sponsor, pdped.com. Use code MOMREADY for 20% off. And we're going to be working on, we kind of said this in the beginning, but like we're figuring this out as we go. I'm very much into this like vibe right now where it's like vulnerability and transparency and inviting you listeners and viewers into this journey. But we are going to be working on some courses. So something that Anna might be working on is some resources for other moms who are going through something like this, or for those of us who have friend moms who are going through something like this, how we can support them. But it'll all be at getmomready.com, where you can go subscribe, talk to us in the discussion and chat panel. We'd love to hear from you, what you've learned today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Woohoo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Whew. Well, I hope that you were as encouraged and inspired by Anna as I am every single day. I love and I'm so grateful that she gets to work alongside me over at the Ready Network. I want to invite you to go over to getmomready.com, where you can become a paid subscriber. You can get access to incredible resources like Anna has published her packing list from, her expertise now, several surgeries in, over at getmomready.com, packing list for hospital stay. We also want to invite you to go to pdped.com, where you can use code MOMREADY to get 20% off your first order. They're incredible shoes. My daughter actually wore them today to daycare, her PD Peds that she loves. And then also encourage you to join us over on Instagram at GetMomReady, where we'd love to hear your thoughts, your likes, your comments, all the things. And we'll see you next time here at Get Mom Ready.